I think it's easier to get rose-tinted about it. You know, and if I read someone saying, oh, they're all so bland today, there's nothing to say, I think, well, maybe, you know, you're failing to spot it. No, I mean, the main problem, I think, with the current crop is that they appear bland because they've never done anything else. And they've been, you know, think tanks and political wonks and whatever, but they haven't got all that hinterland. Whereas, you know, with the big political characters, they've been and done something else first, which is partly a generational thing, but partly because we focused so much on that's how you get into politics. They're all a bit the same. You know, you watch Miliband, Clegg and Cameron standing next to each other, and they're more or less the same guy. You know, slight shades, but it's not Healy, who was, you know, on the beachhead when the Anzacs went in the Second World War. It's not Prescott who did the cruises. It's not Macmillan saying, you know, I remember the first day of the Somme. I mean, you know, there are life experiences which this lot you feel haven't had a lot of.
Does that in a way make it harder to do kind of different voices for all of them?
Yeah, because they are, you know, they're a sort of well-educated managerial section. I mean, there's the, you know, the upper class version of it, and then there's the North London version of it, and there's the Cleggy, slightly international version of it, but they're not that disparate.
You must feel quite vindicated with Blair, because he's now talks about nothing else but faith. He seems to have become this. He's just turned into the St Albion Vicar. Yeah,
but the St Albion Vicar with a sort of American evangelists hold on money. You know, that sort of televangelist who they always turn out to have 28 million in the bank. I mean, Blair's ability to generate vast sums is quite staggering.
He was always very unamused by...
Yeah, hugely. Yeah, which is very pleasing. That's what you want to hear.
Yeah, is it because when you celebrated your 50 years last year, politicians were sort of queuing up to say, "Oh, we think the Eye's fantastic." You sort of...
Yeah, that was quite disappointing, wasn't it? I hope not. I mean, they do have to be literate, interested in public affairs. They've got to know what's happening, or they won't get the jokes. And they do have to be in some way questioning of what's going on. You know, I occasionally get readers writing in saying, "You put Prince Charles on the cover, how dare you?" And I feel, yeah, you really shouldn't be reading the mag. I don't think we're for you. And when I was younger, I used to actually cancel people's subscriptions who wrote in. I'd cancel their subscription and pay them the money, saying, "I'm sorry, you can't read the mag anymore. I'm not quite that mad anymore." We don't do a huge amount of research, as you can imagine. But as far as I can tell, I mean, we are still read pretty heavily by the 18 to 40s, which is great. We've dropped off a bit at the other end of the scale. I think older readers have either seen it all before and have got tired of being told this stuff, or they think the print's too small or whatever. So there's a certain loss there. But on the whole, we are still... I think you read the Eye when it affects your life. And you start as a student when you start thinking, well, I hope you start thinking, well, that's quite funny. And then you read the stuff around it thinking, oh, that might affect me. And then once you're in the swim of life, you know, then I think it's, you want to know what's going on. I think our sales do go up and down depending on mood. In the boom time, and particularly when you'd had a long period of the Tories and then Blair, people were saying, "Oh, why are you criticising Blair? Come on, you're a Tory, aren't you? You want them back to you too." So there was a sort of real feel of that. Whereas, you know, now, oddly, as we sort of head back into austerity, people are thinking, I think they want more jokes and they want more explanation. But I mean, we are bucking the trend, which I'm very grateful for. But we're doing it by just doing what we do all along.